Beryl, and in today's video, we are looking at another trend, but giving it context. The trend was based off of this video that was trending on Twitter.
Whenever I make this salad, I have to make extra popcorn so I can snack on it while I'm cooking. This is gonna look so fun on the table. I'm gonna taste it. And this is a salad that you eat with a spoon.
So at first blush, yes, this popcorn salad might be a bit quirky. Before we get started, I do want to talk about the photography behind me. They're taken by a man named Joel Van Hoosen in California. He has taken all of these photos of the night sky and these different galaxies from his backyard. I love backyard astronomy. I think it is just such a fun thing. I'm leaving a link to his Instagram page if you want to look at his other amazing photography. Okay. There is history and there is context behind this dish. Molly, the chef who made it, did not come up with this out of thin air. She didn't wake up and choose violence and say I'm gonna bring this popcorn salad down on the world. The article responses and the way people have been reacting to this dish, however, it kind of it's grinding my gears. So I wanted to make this video to show you all that there is precedent for a dish like this, and that rather than just be weirded out and confused because it's not something that you might understand, let's learn a little bit. So, I am born and raised on the East Coast of America, so I also don't have the context needed to really talk about this. You guys, however, do. So I asked those of you who grew up in the kind of Midwestern zone of the United States to help us all out.
Hi, I'm Lydia, and I live in Lawrence, Kansas.
My name's Charlie, and I grew up about an hour west of Cleveland, Ohio in the United States.
Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky in the United States.
Hi, my name is Liz. I live 40 minutes south of Madison, Wisconsin.
I'm Carrah. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
I would describe Americana food as a one-dish meal.
This is gonna sound kind of bad, but I would describe most Americana food as taking something that could be healthy and making it not healthy.
A hodgepodge.
Kind of making do with what you have on hand.
It's something that's kind of easy to prep and share, a mix of stuff that's convenient, sometimes some fresh stuff, things that you'd bring to, potlucks or church functions.
I think that within this genre, it's easy to divide it into three groups. You have casseroles or hot dishes, dessert salads, and then savory salads.
So you have the more savory salads like corn salad, Frito salad, green bean salad, where you take a vegetable or I guess a corn chip and mix in like Miracle Whip, extra cheese, chopped onions, stuff like that. Then you also have the sweet version of a salad, which is gonna be grapes, Snickers, like Snickers bars, apples, and you mix that with Cool Whip, maybe some nuts or some other fruit, and you serve that as like a dessert side. I think a typical one of these is like ambrosia or millionaire salad with marshmallows and things.
First thing I wanted to know were, what were some examples of dishes that you guys grew up with?
One example that I grew up with is called Grandpa's Casserole. It's actually a family recipe. It's made up of egg noodles, cream-style corn, ground beef, on top of that, a layer of just canned tomato soup, topped with cheese and baked in the oven. It all comes together and it's just comforting and yummy.
When I was young, we had chicken broccoli casserole, which is a dish made with broccoli and chicken, rice, condensed cream of chicken soup, sour cream, cheddar cheese, and then served with Ritz cracker, like crumbled Ritz cracker and butter on top.
One Americana dish that I grew up with is called squash casserole. And at first it sounds really healthy because squash, that's straight from the garden, should be healthy. Most of the time it's sauteed, that kind of thing. But squash casserole is actually, you take yellow squash, chop them up, boil them, and then you mix them with an entire block of Velveeta. And then you top the whole thing with stovetop stuffing mix and then bake it.
One thing that I grew up with is a thing called Johnny Marzetti. It's this Italian 8 casserole with corkscrew noodles, ground beef, and a white cheese. And then it also had a tomato sauce, which was pre-seasoned from a jar.
My family really likes the staples of a cranberry salad with marshmallows and this lime salad that has cottage cheese and lime jello, which it's the most disgusting sounding thing I know how to make, but it tastes pretty alright.
The food history of this region is actually really interesting. The early immigrants to the central Midwest tended to be from Scandinavia and from Germany. If you look at foods that these immigrants came over with, you might notice a couple of themes. There are a lot of jellied meat dishes, thus the transition from jellied meat dishes to Jell-O. There are a lot of these creamy dishes, and that's where you get these salads. And you have a strong Lutheran background, which is where these community dishes come from. If at this point you're like,
oh my god, I just want to see you make and eat popcorn salad.
Fair enough, let's make popcorn salad. I reached out to a man named Ben Myhre who's done a lot of research about the food history of this region so that he could help give us that kind of last piece of the puzzle.
Hi, my name is Ben Myhre. I live in Fargo, North Dakota. Americana recipes have to do with different cultures coming together and transforming what we already had into something that works for that time and place. So I've spent my entire life going to potlucks, going to gatherings where Jell-O salads are served, where lefse is served, tater tot hot dish, tuna noodle casserole. If you're looking for things that are common to be grown up here and why they would be used in our various hot dishes and casseroles, corn, potatoes, wheat. We live in a part of the world where the growing season is not very long. So we have a long heritage of canning and relying on canned foods and processed foods, particularly 100 years ago when a lot of these recipes started to form. So not only were the recipes simple, you could put it together with relatively few pots and pans. You could, in your schoolhouse, assemble this one hot dish. It's human nature to be social, and it's human nature to want to share the things that are important to us. And one way to do that is through food. And when I think about food that's important to me growing up, I think about my parents and my grandparents, which probably stem from my great-grandparents. Midwest Americana is about, ultimately, I think, sharing the recipes that are important to us with the people around us. Not everybody's tastes are the same, and not everybody's heritage is the same, but one way we can connect is with our food.
Popcorn salad! To be honest, this has been sitting for a little bit while I got set up again, but I think that lends an air of authenticity. Nobody eats a salad the second it's plated. It usually sits for a little bit, especially if you're at a potluck, like maybe you're running late and people are like, don't forget the popcorn salad! And you're like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
I do feel like the lettuce on top is kind of like lipstick on a pig. You know, we're having popcorn salad, Molly. Just let it be. Do I love this or hate this? You can't tell that this is popcorn anymore. Well, it's not bad, but it's also not good. You cannot poo-poo the dressing. Mayonnaise dressing is a classic. We all love a good mayonnaise and mustard dressing. There's no issue there. Truly, the issue is simply with the popcorn and why we're doing that. I don't know. Like, this is popcorn, right? It's just smush. If you want cheese powder in your vegetables, just put the cheese powder in the vegetables because it's not bad. The popcorn, though, I would say lose it. That's my final verdict. Lose the popcorn, keep the rest of the salad. This has inspired me to do some regional American foods. I think that I have devoted a lot of time to international dishes, and I will continue to do that, but I think it's time for regional American dishes to have their spot in the sun. For those of you who have grown up with any regional American dishes, please leave a comment and let me know what they are and which state you're from, and I think this would be a very fun episode. I'm not going to say don't try the popcorn salad because I think that everybody should try everything, but don't use all the popcorn. Save some for snacking later.